Did you know that there are actually other subtypes of avoidance? This is actually really fascinating, and I just started looking into this. There are 4 other subtypes of avoidance. So not just dismissive, not just fearful, but there are some other types. Let me tell you what they are, and let me know if you've dated one or if you feel like you are one. First is the high functioning avoidant. This avoidant is highly competent, intelligent, and extremely driven in work, hobbies, personal goals. Someone who is extremely proud of their independence, like emotionally, financially, logistically, like their identity is wrapped up in their independence. So this is someone that might often say things like, I'm way too busy to have relationships, like I'm just a workaholic. Even if they desire relationships deep down, they kind of view them as optional. And this is someone who is like always composed, like you would rarely ever see them in emotional distress. They keep themselves together at all times. What I kind of picture in my mind when I think of this type of person is like maybe a woman in her mid-40s who is single, childless. She has built up this amazing career. She has everything she needs in her life. She owns her own home. She works a ton. Maybe she's like a CEO or something, and she's always working, and she keeps herself incredibly busy, and she has this extremely regimented like workout routine and everything, but she doesn't like have much time, or she doesn't put much value into relationships of any sort, like into friendships, into romantic relationships. Like she lives a pretty solitary life and puts a lot of value into her work and into her routine. That's kind of what I would think of with this type of avoidant. Someone that is using their competency and their avoidance as a survival skill to such a degree that it has created all the success in their life, but it is still preventing them from having that intimacy that they truly desire under the surface. The next subtype is a covert avoidant, and this would be an anxious leaning avoidant. This is someone who wants love and connection, but once they get it, they can become flaky, passive-aggressive, distant. This person often misidentifies themselves as being anxiously attached, and this person would tend to sabotage things through inconsistency, confusion, and emotional unavailability. The covert avoidant might say things like, I just need some space to figure things out. I'm not ready to date, but I don't want to lose you either. They are torn between longing and fear. They don't trust themselves to stay in love. They feel engulfed by too much closeness, yet they also feel empty without it. This type of avoidant can drive their partner crazy with mixed signals, and I think that this can really get confused with a fearful avoidant too. And the difference between a covert avoidant and a fearful avoidant, the fearful avoidant is going to be overwhelmed by emotions underneath, and maybe they are not coming to the surface, but they are absolutely feeling them, and their deep fear is betrayal. They really struggle to trust people, and they are very afraid of being abandoned and betrayed. However, the covert avoidant, their fear is losing themselves in the relationship, and rather than having these deep emotions that they're feeling, they're going to try to stay like cool, calm, collected. The covert avoidant is confusing as well because it can also sound a lot like a dismissive avoidant. Here's the difference. A dismissive avoidant would say something like, I don't want or need emotional closeness. I'm fine on my own. However, a covert avoidant would say something like, I want closeness, but when I get it, I feel trapped and overwhelmed. The third subtype is a trauma-based avoidant. Type of avoidance is rooted in a very specific trauma, and their emotional shutdown is not just attachment, it's survival. This type of person may display hypervigilance, dissociation, panic. Closeness triggers trauma memories or body-based survival responses. For this person, intimacy literally feels like danger. So like, I know that this is true with every type of avoidant, but this is like even deeper than that. So my opinion of this type of person is, let's say that you are dating someone who has a history of very intense sexual trauma, maybe with like a family member or something really severe happened to them. And so being in an intimate romantic relationship with someone feels so dangerous to them. Like it sends off like a PTSD response in their body in maybe certain situations inside of the relationship, or when things get too close, or when things become sexual, whatever the case may be. They have these shut down responses that are literally like, it's far beyond just, oh, I feel uncomfortable with this because I'm avoidant. It's more like, no, my body must shut down right now because I am in danger. So this is someone who has a lot of unresolved trauma over like a very specific event or something very specific from their childhood that is like they are living it out in their relationship type of thing. So their avoidance is coming from that. They are not necessarily like an avoidant person all the time. Like you might be in a relationship with them and they are fine in every other circumstance, but maybe when it comes to intimacy in the bedroom, all of a sudden their body shuts down or they have certain physical responses. So that's what this type of person would be. This person also might have intrusive thoughts, night terrors, and emotional flashbacks. And the last subtype is a situational avoidant. So this is someone who might be just more secure or slightly avoidant, but they become avoidant based on the situation that they're in. So for instance, maybe you are someone with a secure attachment, but then you get into a relationship with someone that is more controlling and they are setting off extremely avoidant responses in you, like you just shut down. And so you would often say things like, I'm not this type of person. I don't know why I'm acting like this, blah, blah, blah. I see a lot of people saying things like, you know, depending on the situation, I can either be avoidant or anxious. I think that this comes into play in those situations. Like, you know, you might be more of an anxious person or more of a secure person, but then based on certain situations that you're in or certain people you may have been with, it triggers more of a situational avoidant response because of, you know, that other person's behavior. It is your body is responding by being avoidant. In this case, the avoidance is more reactive rather than that person's baseline.